Hey everyone, here at US Bank Stadium after the 49ers lost to the Vikings 23 to 17. And it was a game of mistakes. I spoke to Fred Warner, I spoke to Charvarius Ward and Jair Brown, and they just talked about missed assignments, mistakes that happened in the game that could have been what helped them get a win. But it was mistakes across the board. It was mistakes on offense, not getting into the end zone on a lengthy drive, 12 play drive. It was not, it was allowing a punt to be blocked. Um, it was uh, 49ers not following their assignments on defense. I mean, Sam Darnold played a good game. Sam Darnold had a good game, and he completed 17 of his 26 attempts, two touchdowns, one interception, 268 yards. But those the two touchdowns, one was a mistake by Jair Brown. He said, "Hey man, I left my safety out there. I left him out, hung him out to dry." And it was the 97-yard play to Justin Jefferson. Sam Darnold found Justin Jefferson on a deep pass, and Jair Brown had him on the deep route, and Jair Brown, thought that George Odom had him. So it was George Odom, Jair Brown. They just needed to communicate better. And Jair Brown said to me, "I got to be better. I kind of left my safety hanging there. I just got to be better. I had Jefferson on the over, and he got Jefferson on the up and out. Jefferson stemmed inside, kind of slowed me down, and then he took the roof off of it." So, I mean, mistakes like that. That was one touchdown. The other touchdown was Treverius Ward. He took ownership for it, said he got kind of tangled up with Jair Brown. What he saw was similar to what he saw versus the New York Jets. So, with Jalen Naylor made a move, and Treverius Ward thought that it was going to be a run play. It was a block to just open up the lanes for the running back. And then when Jalen Naylor got behind him, easy touchdown for Sam Darnold. So mistakes across the board. Trevor Wood said, "I just got to be better." Um, he said, it was too many mistakes across the board. And that's what Fred Warner said. Fred Warner after the game, too many my bads, too many, hey man, I'll try to do better next time, me included. He said, "I think of the plays I want back in this game, and we got to play more together as a team. We got to do our job and play smart football, and the rest will take care of itself." It's a talented defense. They just did not play to their potential in Minnesota. And, I think that you look at all three phases, special teams allowed a block punt. That definitely could have been less points. The defense did their job, held them to 3 points. But still, I mean, that could have been worse. 49ers drives. I mean, they were on the field for a long time. 60 some odd plays, I think 67 plays. Their average yards per play was 6 yards per play, 102 yards on the ground, rushing, 297 yards in the air. I mean, getting down the field, 15 play drive, 83 yards, turned it over on downs. The next drive, 6 plays, 28 yards, midfield, turned it over on downs. Now, Kyle Shanahan said they were on the 2-yard line. They should have been able to punch it in. And then if they didn't, Vikings were on the 2-yard line. That's a good situation when you're talking about the possession, field positioning, a good position for your 49ers defense to be in. The one other fourth down play was midfield, out of the range for field goal, not a great position for a punt, so turned it over on downs midfield. On the turnover on downs on the 2-yard line, 2 plays, 99 yards. That was that huge long play to Justin Jefferson, touchdown. The other turnover on downs ended up in an interception. That was Sam Darnold's interception, Fred Warner. So, yeah, just not a great, clean day for the 49ers overall. Highlights of the game, though, Fred Warner. Incredible game. 9 tackles, 7 solo, 1 for a loss. He had a sack, 2 forced fumbles, and interception. I mean, Fred Warner has come into the season And I know that he's talked about his why he's playing so well. And a lot of it is because he became a father during the offseason, has a baby. And I think it changed his purpose a little bit. Not that he didn't have purpose before, but I think, for a guy like Fred Warner, it really changed his life. Debo Samuels talked about it changing his. I mean, he came into this training camp with, with his mind on having an amazing season. Debo Samuel, 110 yards. I mean, just, and that's in the air. Didn't do a whole lot on the ground, but just a really good game for Debo Samuel. So, um, 2 runs, negative 10 yards, not great in the run game, but in the air, Debo Samuel, 8 catches, 110 yards. George Kittle had a really good game, catching 7 of his 8 targets, 76 yards, and a touchdown. So there were highlights. I did talk to Dominic Cooney after the game, and he said that it was really hot. And I'm down on the field level now. It is much warmer here now than it is up in the press box where the vents are blowing. So George Kittle had to get an IV during the game. That is not a normal thing. George Kittle is one of the best conditioned athletes on this team, and he had to get an IV because it was so warm and 67 plays. It was a lot for the offense, and they just could not convert it into points. So that's what we kind of saw here, just mistakes across the board. Nick Bosa had a good game, 2 sacks for him, 1 sack for Fred Warner. Um, just it's kind of one of those, not that it's like a preseason game, but they weren't firing on all cylinders. And we've seen what the 49ers team can look like when they are playing really well. And they just didn't play that well in Minneapolis. Um, Christian McCaffrey is on IR. JP Mason, 20 carries for 100 yards. So he's stepping in well. I'm not saying that Christian McCaffrey on the field would have made this a win for the 49ers, but he does make a difference. But just mistakes across the board. An interception for Brock Purdy. He was sacked 6 times. He held onto the ball longer because they were trying to push the ball down the field to playing from behind. So I think the 49ers on a short week and a lengthy drive and an early start, or lengthy travel time, like lengthy flight, early start. I mean, it was a 10 o'clock kickoff, which is 8 o'clock back at home, or 12 o'clock kickoff here. So a 10 o'clock kickoff back at home. That's early for them. They have late practices during the week, and it was a short week. So I think, they'll get back to it. Lots of good film for them to watch, and they've got a lot of good potential. The season is not over. It's only week 2. No need to panic. There was no panic in the locker room at all, just frustration. So I think they'll go back to Santa Clara. They are already headed back there now. They'll watch the film on the plane, get back to it. It's going to be a serious group, and they'll come out focused. They have their first divisional opponent in Los Angeles at SoFi Stadium. I know it's also called Levi South, so I'm sure we'll see a lot of fans there. 34% of the fans in US Bank Stadium were wearing red today. I did hear a "Let's Go Niners" chant at one point, but I'm sure we'll hear more of that in Los Angeles. So that's the update from Minneapolis, and we'll talk to you again soon. But just a mistake-filled performance for the 49ers. They just could not get it done. 17 points by the 49ers, 23 points for the Vikings, going away from the loss in week 2. They are now 1-1, and another game coming up in just a few days. So they will be back, watch a film, and I think they'll be better. I think they'll be better just with this experience. And as they get more time, more game experience, I think they get better. Also good to see Rick Pearsall on the field. He was not obviously playing, but on the field, kind of warming up, throwing the ball, catching the ball, active in the locker room. So good to see him around. But we'll talk to you soon. I'll give you more updates and sign off from Minneapolis. Talk to you guys soon.